Welcome back, everyone, to YCS Charlotte 2022. It's been a fantastic tournament so far, but we got some more exciting duels coming. You see this right outside the convention center. It's been a crazy time, and now we're finally back in person. You see Duelists walking in. The Duelists already competing for this third round of Swiss. You know, a lot on the line. There's over 1,000 people that are playing in this tournament, but only a little over 300 remain undefeated, looking to make that day 2 and eventually the top cut, and eventually we'll crown a YCS champion.
Yeah, that's right, Billy. We've seen some incredible matches so far, and we're going to keep them coming all weekend long, so I hope you're ready for it, folks. We're back here live in Charlotte, North Carolina at the Yu-Gi-Oh! Championship Series, and it's an exciting time to be a Yu-Gi-Oh! Player, right? We've had some years of remote duel play, and now we're back in person, and it looks like our duels are ready at the feature match table, so we're not going to keep you waiting any longer. Let's go ahead down to round 3 at YCS Charlotte, North Carolina. This round we have a couple more duelists who, you know, no slouches here in the feature match table this weekend. First up, Joseph D. He is the remote duel YCS champion from Chicago, Illinois. Favorite card, Alistair the Invoker. Definitely a fan favorite right there. Let's pass it on down. Next up, we have Juan Y. from Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Favorite card, Magic Drain. Not one you always see, but definitely an iconic and a classic. It's going to be a cool one down in this feature match table for sure. I'm excited to see what exactly these duels brought this weekend. I think we have a couple of cool decks to look at.
Yeah, we certainly do. And we kind of keep it on that same. We've been featuring some of those remote duel YCS champions. We've seen them win the first round and second round, you know, the 2 different remote duel YCS champions we already have. And now we have a third one here to compete. Both these players are already starting off with a 2-0 record, so definitely where you want to be going into the rest of this tournament. With only 7 more rounds to play today, you're already on your way to being able to make that day 2 and eventually the top 32 cut. You're talking about exciting decks. So last time when we saw Joe, he was playing that, you know, the Dogmatica Invoke Shadal strategy, really focused on getting something like Wind on the field. A little slower strategy that's kind of fallen out of favor as of recently. So he's kind of updated his playstyle, now playing a different deck, a deck that a lot of players expected to be the most popular here this weekend. That is going to be the Adventure or Prank Kids deck. But his opponent, Juan, is using one of my favorite decks, you know, getting a huge boost out of Battle of Chaos. That is the DDD deck. We saw Pac use it in the remote duel, making top 8 in remote duel YCS in the past. So definitely a contender here in this format. So we'll have to see. And already being 2-0 means, you know, he knows the DDD deck well. And that's like the biggest thing, is when you know your opponent is playing that deck and they know what they're doing, what that deck is capable of is just immeasurable.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it pop off before. We've seen it do a lot of things, but it's definitely one of those decks that, yeah, I mean, we were looking at it up on Neuron just before this. There are a lot of cards for this strategy, right? Like, this is a theme that has like 60+ cards. It's been released for a while, and it just keeps on getting them. It does incredibly powerful things and very different things than what it used to.
Yeah, I mean, certainly. And Declan Akabo is just, you know, the master of all the summoning techniques. Just fantastic. Every time they get more cards, lots of ways to, you know, continue putting monsters on the board. And even though you're usually locked into DDDs, they do enough to where they can just put their own monsters on the board. You know, the Fusion, Synchro, Exceeds, whatever it be, fill up the board and have a, you know, the brand new Deus Machina X is a huge improvement for the deck. You're able to put that on top of any DDD monster, and not being once returned, being able to put the opponent's monsters underneath this material is huge. But now here we go, the all-important die roll. You always feel a little more comfortable when you get to go first, and we'll see who won this die roll for game 1. We got Joe against Juan. Juan, you know, being from North Carolina, a hometown favorite potentially. Definitely going to see what the duel starts to, but here we go, and jumping into game 1, round 3, YCS Charlotte. It's time to duel.
Yep, it's going to be a fun one. As we've seen with this DDD deck in the past, one of those strategies where, at least when I look at like decks that are usually more powerful or like things like that, it's ones that can include a ton of monsters, right? When your monsters do extra things, like they can basically be spell cards, right? DDD, definitely one of those where it's just going to pack a ton of its most powerful monsters, especially like DDD Swirl Slime, right? DDD Swirl Slime is a crazy card for what it does.
Oh yeah, so good.
But it looks like Joe is going to go ahead and start things off with a Foolish Burial that's going to be met by Ash Blossom and Joy Spring, but clearing the way for his Terraforming to resolve. So he's going to go ahead and grab Prank Kid's Place would be my assumption.
Yeah, even just seeing this Foolish Burial, like Ash Blossom and Joy Spring, a notorious card for shutting down the Prank Kid deck in the past. But now that they have that adventure engine on top of that, not only can you just get the Griffin Rider onto the field to be able to negate something like Ash Blossom not interrupt you, you have that Faithful Adventure that you can chain block to prevent your opponent from being able to Ash Blossom your Prank Kid effect. But even as having Fool's Barrel, knowing the threat of the adventure packages in that deck, forcing out the Ash Blossom early, and now he knows that there will not be an Ash Blossom when he tries to link away this Prank Kid, the special summon from the deck.
Yeah, Joe making a little bit of a misstep there, searching directly for Lampseas, not how terraforming works. Gonna go ahead and grab the Prank Kid's place, as we mentioned, activate so he can grab the Lampseas. Gonna use it on his normal summon to then link summon into Prank Kid's Meow Meow Mew.
Yeah, I mean, Meow Meow Mew was limited to 1 last year, but still just a fantastic card. They're able to get your strategy online with just 1 summon, and now that the Lampseas is sent to the graveyard for a link summon, it'll trigger the effect to do a little bit of damage to the opponent's life points and special summon a Fansies from the deck. Now he's going to link away that Prank Kid Fansies and Meow Meow Mew for Prank Kid Doodle Doodle Doo. Doodle Doodle Doo effect will probably activate and chain link 2 to the Prank Kid Fansies.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it a lot before, right? This Prank Kids deck, incredible because it just has a high redundancy of what it wants to do, right? Like, regardless of what Prank Kids do. Tons. Yeah. I mean, whenever I see it, I'm just thinking, bow wow, if you know what I mean. But regardless, yeah, high redundancies of normal summon monsters, right, that don't activate effects, so it works perfectly with the Adventure Engine, right? And really, it is like a normal summon reliant deck in some ways, but it still has ways to push through other things, right? And this Adventure Package giving this extra edge. But
yeah, maybe like the turn 1 boards it can produce aren't like the most impressive, right? It's just mainly, I mean, you have the Adventure Package, you have that Griffin Rider, and then like the Battle Butler is going to be huge. And having the Meow Mew in the grave, you have those 2 interruptions or 2 Regekis during the opponent's turn, and really just amassing the huge amount of advantage the deck does turn 1. It's like a snowball effect. Like once it gets rolling, it's really hard to stop. You want to get out of the way, or you'll probably get crushed.
Yeah, one big chemical reaction, if you will.
True.
Just one thing happening after another. Doesn't matter which element or attribute you're starting with, you're going to get to something crazy at the end of it.
Yep. That is the case here with the Prank Kid deck. Really, you're talking about the consistency of the deck is probably why a lot of players do bring that strategy here this weekend.
Thinking on discard.
So he used Doodle Doodle Doo to add back 2 Prank Kids cards, and now he's using Prank Kids Pranks to discard to summon a Prank Kid token.
He's going to take a minute to think about what he wants to get rid of. Going to be Prank Kids Fansies down to the graveyard.
For sure. Second. Summon token. How'd you like me to cut?
You know, going back to that favorite card, Joe's favorite card being Alistair the Invoker. I wonder if that was his favorite card before he won with that deck, or since he was able to get that win with the Alistair Invoker, that became his card after the fact. But either way, it's a cool card to be one of your favorites.
Definitely a cool one for sure. I think it's also one of those things, though, where most Alistair players have been Alistair players, right? they're the people who they pick up the deck and they play it into the ground.
They've been normal summoning Alistair for quite some time.
So my Inkling is probably one of his maybe higher up cards, but you're right that winning a YCS definitely makes a card feel even more special. I'm sure you have cards like that just like I do. But play will continue here for Joe.
Goes and uses Roxy's, so he's going to banish the Dropsies from his hand, gets to draw a fresh card. You know, showing even when you open up with multiple Prank Kids, not the greatest. You know, you need to have all the different names so you can make the Battle Butler, but if you have excess ones you don't really need, as long as you can access that Roxy's, you'll be able to turn it into a fresh card. And then yeah, it's going to summon a Lampseas right back where it all started.
There's still a grip of cards there for Joe. I think it's 3 or 4.
And he's going to get that additional card, too, from the Prank Kids Pranks at the end phase. Just that bonus effect to shuffle back the 3 pranks and draw a card. If you're worried about running out of resources, they have that covered, too.
Yeah, I mean, Prank Kids has an incredible grind game specifically because of that. The fact that you get the extra draw, too, nice, but to me, being able to shuffle all of those cards back for free and just keep on doing the same thing over and over, little ridiculous, right?
Yeah, it's a little tough. It's talking about that snowball effect. Once it gets going, it's kind of hard to stop it. You know, we see, also with the Prank Kid effect, you don't really get locked into anything. As long as you don't use the fusion spell, you can still access the normal Link Monster, the other extra, the more generic Link Monsters from the extra deck. So we see that Verte Anaconda come down. Now he's going to try and summon Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer, have that Pandemonium set, so we'll have to be able to make that Battle Butler on the following turn. But yeah, the Destroyer we've just seen dominating so many games so far, and it's how you can deal with Destroyer, how you can use summon your own Destroyer. Really just an all-around fantastic Yu-Gi-Oh card. We do see a set, one card face down. Can have to assume that is Pandemonium. And now in phase, that Prank Kids Pranks going to shuffle back 3 and draw a card.
Said it too late. Yeah, good. I meant to bring in phase, but. Shuffle it in. How'd you like me to cut?
All right.
Have fun.
And now let's see what Juan is going to be able to do. You know, DD deck has a lot of extenders, a lot of monsters that can special summon themselves, a lot of ways to get monsters special summoned from the graveyard. So going second, not the worst here for the DDD deck.
Yeah, definitely not the worst. Like you said, it can do a lot, right?
Activate contract with the gate.
Definitely a bunch of exciting angles that the deck can play from. He's going to go ahead and start with Dark Contract with the gate. See if that prompts a response from Joe. I'm going to think about it there for a minute.
Looks like he is going to destroy his Verite Anaconda with Destroy Phoenix Force effect to take out the contract. Let's see what's next up on play for Juan. Looks like he's just going to set a monster face down and end his turn. Not a great response there. You're just facing down, you know, full prank in hand. Yeah, you know there's the Pandemonium is there. Going to just use 2.
Pandemonium.
So he's going to summon Weather Washer.
Attention players, there are only 2 spots left in our first Field Construction event of the day.
Yep, and the Weather Washer will come down right next to that Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer.
Scan one of the QR codes back here at public events and register online. There are also spots still available for a win-a-match and first Yu-Gi-Oh! Day event of the day as well.
And now that's going to trigger the Prank Kids effect since they were used for a fusion summon. And he's going to be able to special summon Dropsies from the deck to the field.
And then end phase, this dies because of Fusion Destiny. Activate Affecting Grave with DP.
Yep.
How'd you like me to cut?
I'm sorry?
How would you like me to cut?
And half fine.
Okay.
Things looking really good here for Joe. Starting with, you know, board only facing down a set monster, not great. One does still have 3 cards in hand. You could have some of those monster effects. I think I even saw, you know, a Fantastical Dragon Phantasme, which is pretty good against Prank Kids if you can catch them on having 2 link monsters on the field at the same time, which does happen. But even if you just get it on 1, you're still able to draw 2 and sculpt your hand a little bit better. I think you get 2 copies in Nibiru, so definitely want to trade one of those for a different card. And then if he can capitalize on using that Nibiru at a timely way, maybe able to fight back into this game. We see that Effect Veiler summoned by the... I'm not sorry, I missed what some of the Effect Veiler, but it is on the field. Now you're going to see a link for the Meow Mew. So the Prank Kids Prank put back that Meow Mew, even though it was limited to 1. You're able to use it again thanks to Prank Kids Pranks. And now he's going to trigger the effect of Dropsies. I really like that Effect Veiler signed by, I think it's the voice actor.
Looks
for
like Greg Abbey.
Yep,
Yeah,
Greg
looks like
Abbey.
Greg Abbey. You can see a Greg Abbey signature from a mile away. I feel like there's some that are definitely iconic. It's cool that he has it there from Greg Abbey. Haven't seen him around in a while, but obviously, you know, he's played a lot of voices, everything from Tristan to Yusei and more.
Iconic.
Yeah, incredible, incredible. If anyone hasn't had a chance, you know, to come out and see some things like the live duels that we do with the voice actors as
they're
well,
always,
yeah.
They're always a time.
Always fun. You get things signed sometimes, get to interact with them. They're all great, right?
Yeah.
I love it when you, especially you get to bring out unique ones, right? I remember we've done like Siegfried before.
Mai,
Yeah, Mai's another cool one, or Shizu, right?
Oh, yeah.
Super cool that we get these awesome voice actors out. But back to the game, Joe is going to continue with his Prank Kids shenanigans as he special summons Roxy's to the field.
Oh, the Effect Veiler was summoned off Dasher. That's what I was. I was like, so there's some card that special summons Effect Veiler, and it was the Dasher draw for the turn.
Yeah, I think we saw that in our last feature match round too. Effect Veiler are very popular. These hand effects, right? These tuners that you can also use from the hand. Pretty popular special summon off Dasher because it's like, oh wait, this is actually just a free summon and it's proactive, right?
Yeah, and you got to make sure you get all those monsters in hand if you're wanting to use something like Celestial's draw effect. So
Exactly.
It really, the dynamic of Dasher and Celestial just working together in tandem.
Yep.
Just fantastic. Really, just to the power of Fusion Destiny and that Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer that they summoned.
Yeah, I mean, incredible match, right? Like as if Destiny had foretold it previously, right? That these 2 cards were just made for each other.
A little bit of Astro Phoenix versus Declan Akaba here.
Is he good? They're just Ash, right?
But we do see the Doodle do on the field with the Roxy's.
Yeah, I mean, Joe's been able to do a lot this game compared to what Juan unfortunately was stifled to. And here's Nightmare Unicorn next with his materials. The Doodle along with the effect Veiler is going to go ahead and try to spin back that set monster, but it looks like Juan is going to respond with, yep, after he pays cost for the Nightmare Phoenix, it's going to be Nibiru, the Primal Being.
Yeah, this could be huge. I mean, when you see Nightmare Unicorn, it's usually that stepping stone into Access Code Talker, since it's a Link 3 and you want to get that as much bonus as you can.
Yep.
But
He's going to respond with the Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer, though, right? Like, that's another reason why Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer is so strong. Nibiru does not matter, right? You're still just going to be able to pop away monsters that were going to get tribute anyway. One, makes the Primal token weaker, which is unfortunate, right? But two, means that you get back the Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer the following turn.
yeah. And so the set monster, the set monster's not destroyed by Nibiru unless Joseph decides to destroy it with his Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer's effect.
So this is at 25 and this is at 15.
Trying to add up all the stats so you can figure out the token's attack and defense points.
Yep, so that means it should still be spun then by Nightmare Unicorn, right? Or does
Oh, if he targeted the set monster, it would get spun by the Nightmare Unicorn.
and maybe I missed it. It looked like he discarded effect failure to do that, but maybe not the case.
Obviously.
And then in phase Joe is shuffling back
Oh yeah, the set monster does go to that.
one fusion and a couple prank kids to draw a card here during the in phase. So the Nibiru completely shutting down Juan's turn.
The Unicorn would still go through.
Yep, it looks like they did figure out that the Unicorn was supposed to spin back that set monster. So
Yep,
Juan,
not much
let's
has happened. Not a big repair,
Yeah,
right?
not
It's
too
just like,
much.
oh, that's not supposed to be there. Let's put it somewhere else.
What a mess. What a mess.
Those are going to shuffle up still from these effects resolving.
Jesus. Well, have some life.
Oh, and standby this time is back.
Yep.
Yeah, my
Upstart
bad.
Goblin is going to be what Juan plays at the beginning of his turn. But after those shuffles, we're going to move turns, basically. Juan's draw phase, standby phase, all of that. The Destiny Hero Phoenix Enforcer is going to come back. Destiny Hero Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer, excuse me, is going to come back. Then Upstart Goblin is going to trade itself for a fresh card, granting Joseph another 1,000 life points.
And Nibiru is going to take down that token in the battle phase. And Juan's going to follow it up with a set spell and trap card, and probably going to be it. And now, during the end phase, it's going to prompt Joe to use the Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer's effect to destroy itself, and that set Infinite Impermanence. Maybe it might have been better to hang on to the Infinite Impermanence in hand, wait for that Nibiru to get destroyed, and then be able to maybe use the Infinite Impermanence to catch an Access Code Talker or something off guard, lowering its attack, but still forcing out the Destroyer effect here during the end phase. Yeah, Dasher is not, it's only once while it's in the graveyard, so you're not going to be able to use the effect again. I think that might be what he's asking there.
Yeah.
Which one's the draw too?
Also, something like forcing out a Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer to the end phase, right? Are you really forcing it? It's going to come
Not
back
really.
anyway. Yeah, exactly. But I like the line you're going. Yeah, give it a
trying-
positive spin,
okay.
right? Yeah.
I'm
Might have
looking
been a
on the
small
bright
misstep,
side
but it's
of
not a
things.
big one, right? It's
Yeah.
not a huge one. That's the point. We'll see exactly what how this game progresses. It looks like Joe is going to activate Rites of Armistice. Go ahead and special summon that Adventurer token. Grab Faithful Adventure.
I just played this very poorly.
Honestly, me too. I am not doing nothing here.
Normal summon.
Going to
Effect
normal
check,
summon
spell.
Prank Kid Lampsies, which is going to trigger the Faithful Adventure to add Draco back, the Rideable Dragon.
Effect out a monster.
Now he's going to use that Faithful Adventure effect to add a monster that mentions an adventurer from his deck to his hand. Probably going to grab Wandering Griffin Rider. Now he's going to have to discard a card from his hand. Discards that Draco back, the Rideable Dragon. And when Draco back, the Rideable Dragon is sent to the graveyard, you can re-equip it to the adventure token.
Effective Draco back to
And now he's supposed to summon that Wandering Griffin Rider from the hand since he controls the adventure token. Draco back can return the monster on one side of the field back to the hand.
enter battle.
And now he's going straight to the battle phase. Juan sitting at 7,000.
Okay, yeah, let's go again too.
And it looks like that is going to be enough damage to the adventure token being 2,000. Plenty of damage here. Also, there's going to be some more incremental damage from the Lampsies. And Juan has seen enough. And Joe, one of our remote duel champions, is moving on game one here with still 2 more games to play. But potentially one game win away from a 3-0 record. It's been a great day for our remote duel champions today so far.
Yeah, I mean, there are no slouches, right? The remote duel scene was competitive incredibly, and the big thing is that these players who were participating more in the remote duels, they didn't stop playing Yu-Gi-Oh, right? They didn't like take a break during the live event sort of departure while we had during that season. Instead, they were grinding away in the remote duel circuit, and they're back here in live play. All of it transfers, right?
Yeah,
all of it transfers.
Yeah, I mean, remote duels, like, there was actually more frequent tournaments than you could probably enter pre-remote duel. Like, every day you could probably find a local somewhere that's running one of those remote duel events, and you get to play Yu-Gi-Oh every day at a competitive level for prizes. And I think it's been paying off dividends for these players now that we're finally back to an in-person YCS. And I'd be excited to see if one of these remote duel winners actually ends up taking it down here this weekend. And, you know, Joe on the Prank Kid, Adventure Prank Kid deck is it's pretty good. It's one of the more popular decks here this weekend. We saw why. Like, even with just a couple cards, you're able to do so much. And once you get going, it's hard to stop. But Juan will be going first here this game. And we'll have to see if maybe he can capitalize on doing some cool DDD combos and get back in this game and even the match out to 1-1 apiece.
Yeah, I mean, that was a weak hand, right? We saw him just activate Dark Contract, it gets stifled, and then just have to set a monster, right? He had a little bit of reaction there with Nibiru and Ash Blossom, right? So 2 reactive cards, 1 proactive card, and then just a forced set. He'll be going first this time, right? Which means he can take out some of these points of interaction, hopefully make his deck a little bit more proactive, and let's see exactly what he has in store. But the big thing is that even though he's going to be taking out these points of interaction, likely not replacing them with anything that's going to bolster his engine, right? It's going to be more cards that, like, power through things, right? So we'll probably see cards like, you know, Crossout Designator is a good example, maybe things like Call by the Grave, whatever can help him sort of push through how Joe is going to try to answer his deck. But it's going to be exciting, right? Like, DDD is a super fun deck to watch.
It really is.
Yeah.
Because it just seems like when they just keep on going, keep extending every card, you know, being able to special summon a DDD back from the graveyard. You know, the Flame King Genghis is able to trigger, you summon a DDD, summon special summon back another DDD. It's really cool and impressive to see the kind of boards they can create on their first turn.
Yeah, definitely excited to see exactly what they can swirl out in terms of all their different summoning techniques. Here's another look at the beautiful YCS trophy. Like we keep saying, man, they keep getting better and better.
They do.
And I can't help but be a little upset when I see them just because they're so nice compared to how they used to be.
Where's my deck? Can I enter? I want to get in. I want to try and compete for that trophy. Man, maybe it's a little too late now at this point, but it's awesome that trophy's just on that same stage that they're competing on. They know what's all on the line there, what it will mean to win. So definitely a lot of pressure, but you got to keep your cool when you're playing in a feature match.
Yeah, I mean, it's either going to make you feel a little bit more anxious or it's going to stoke that fire, right, that you got to win, and hopefully that's what it's going to be for Juan as we head into Game 2 of our feature match here at YCS Charlotte. DDD facing off against Prank Kids. Ooh, it looks like he's going to start with
Small World.
Yep, revealing Lamia.
Yep, and let's see, the bridge is going to be Fantastical Dragon Phantasme.
Grab any dark off him.
By Dark. The only thing they have in common is Dark, so then they have to grab another card that the only thing they have in common with Phantasme is Dark, and he's going to grab that Copernicus. Pretty much in the D deck, you can either use Small World or Piri Rice Map. Either way, those cards are going to get you access to Copernicus, which is one of the strongest cards in the deck that lets you send a DDD card from your deck to the graveyard when it's summoned. But Joe has the Droll and Lockbird. Juan meeting it with Crossout Designator. Not only has the Crossout Designator, but that means he has a copy of Droll and Lockbird in his deck, ready to banish, knowing that Droll and Lockbird is one of those cards that can really stymie his strategy, and now he's not going to have to worry about it anymore for the rest of his turn. Crossout Designator calls Droll and Lockbird, banished from the deck, its effects are negated for the rest of the turn. So he adds Copernicus, and then normal summons Savant Kepler. That's going to add.
There's always an interesting dynamic for me with Crossout Designator where, like, the hardcore combo decks don't really want to play these points of disruption or any of these hand effects. So sometimes Crossout Designator is really weak in them, right? But with some of these, like, mid-range decks that are more, like, capable of playing them, obviously strong. But then we also see things like Kamal's deck, right, with the 60 cards where, like, oh, I can just play a few of them just to make my Crossout Designators better. It's definitely a powerful card, but it takes a little bit to get going.
Yeah, and certainly you need to have that deck space accessible as well. And it looks like he's going to follow by special summoning DD Griffin, a new card out of Battle of Chaos. And then we said this guy's name a lot at the last stream. That's the Gilgamesh, one of the most powerful Link monsters. Is going to be able to scale two DDD monsters from his deck to the field if Joe doesn't have any sort of effect negation from his hand to use here.
7,000 now.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, this is still a pendulum theme, right? Like, big reason why some of these cards are so powerful. They have additional effects, but the big thing is Gilgamesh just gets you 2 extra cards, right? Like, that's
Exactly.
effectively what it does. We talk about these Link monsters, they get you 1 extra card. You know, those are all strong. These are 2, right? 2 extra cards is nice, especially when we also just see exactly how it's going to interact later with the Deuce Maki next.
2.
I'm going to go ahead and Pendulum Summon the Griffin
2. Copernicus.
Copernicus.
alongside the Copernicus. Yep, one from the extra deck face up, the other from his hand.
Yeah, not only are you getting scales from this Gilgamesh, you're getting these face-up pendulum monsters, which are essentially like continuous spell sort of, where they have an effect that you'll be able to use during the turn. So you're getting just so many bonuses from this Gilgamesh.
Hand is good. Overlay.
Yep, next up is an overlay.
Wave King Caesar. Oh, I got the wrong one. Into Marksman King Tell.
Swoops King Caesar.
Wave King
Marksman
Caesar.
Or sorry, Wave King Caesar.
Onto Marksman King Tell. So if I took damage this turn, which I did through Gilgamesh, I can detach 1, lower a monster on the field by 1,000 in attack and defense, and then burn you for 1,000 in defense. So I'll target himself to burn you for 1,000.
So inflict a little bit of damage here.
Orthos effect, targeting a spell trap himself and another DD or Dark Contract to pop King Tell. Pop both these.
What does this do when it goes to grave?
He foolishes.
Okay, yeah, you're good.
So going to destroy the Marksman King
Marksman King
Tell,
Tell
so he'll
effect
be able to
foolish.
send a DD or Dark Contract from his deck to the graveyard. With that Ragnarok in the scale, he'll be able to summon back another monster from his graveyard too. We'll have to see where he goes with this. I mean, we can already know that he's going to get that brand new Deus Machina X onto the field for sure. Battle of Chaos really just brought DDDs back into the limelight of the metagame, just having so many new options. Even the new trap card, DDD Headhunt, is really fantastic. Being able to search a card that lets you just take your opponent's monsters, just another layer of disruption, really, really big.
Yeah, definitely a good one. I mean, I think that's the fun thing about Yu-Gi-Oh! Too, where like some of these themes are kind of old, but whenever they get sort of just a couple powerful cards from one set, it's like, ooh, gotta
It's a
grab my
huge
binders,
break.
dust off some good. Yeah, it's a huge one, Billy.
And so you see the Flame King Genghis being fusion summoned, and now he's going to special summon back.
Chain, I will
That's
The
Wave
Wave
King
Caesar?
Caesar. Yep.
And that'll trigger the Genghis to special summon back another DDD from the graveyard,
Gonna
grabbing
grab
Griffin.
New chain, DD Griffin, add a DD card to hand.
So let's see what DD card he decides to add. Maybe the Headhunt. I think he might. Looks like he's thinking about it, and is in fact grabbing that new trap card, DDD Headhunt, out of Battle of Chaos.
Oh, Vice Typhon here.
Yep.
Fusion.
So going to fusion summon here from the graveyard.
Yeah, I'm gonna think here.
Summon.
Has an effect on my turn.
Yep, that's going to be a High King Genghis. See exactly what he does next with all these monsters. Oh, but Nibiru, the primal being, is going to come down for Joe.
Definitely a huge card here against the DD deck without having put up any sort of negates yet for this monster effect.
Yeah, once it's going to hit the table, just the after from this, whether or not Juan can push through it is a big question.
So, Griffin,
Just trying to go on his turn too.
and then he'll come out. Okay.
So he activated the Griffin Rider as a quick effect special from his hand since he controls no monsters and is chaining Nibiru.
You guys have a
So
calculator?
once Nibiru comes out, he will control a monster, so he wants to make sure he gets that Griffin Rider out first, and the Nibiru will resolve first, so they'll be able to have 2 monsters to Juan's only just a token on the field.
24.
Yeah, definitely a heads-up play there, making sure he sequences correctly just to get the free monster when he can, right? While still clearing away Juan and probably stifling him for the rest of the turn, depending on exactly what cards he has left.
Defense is 24.
It's going to be a big token. Only 1 Link monster, the rest of the stats are pretty padded, so
63 defense.
yeah, 6,300 defense. Not a slouch defense point number.
So, Caesar, when he leaves the field, I can trigger his effect to add a Dark Contract.
Yep.
We know he has
In the middle.
DDD Headhunt already. So he's going to be able to grab another Dark Contract from his deck to his hand.
Attention Yu-Gi-Oh players, I'm still looking for Jacob Kane Allen Brewer.
Right, that was on field.
Jacob Kane Allen Brewer to the main event stage.
Swamp King.
Goes grab the Swamp. That's going to be let him fusion
Activate.
summon.
Yep.
Fusion.
He's going to get rid of Gilgamesh and Wave King Caesar.
Goes for another Genghis, I believe.
Yep, that's Flame King Genghis. And they're going to use it as a material for
Yes.
Divisor King Deuce Machinex.
And I will pass turn.
So not the strongest of the boards, but does have a couple points of interruptions. Not too bad for dealing with a Nibiru.
You're good.
Half cut.
You're just good. Yeah, whatever. Anyfish?
Yep.
I mean, Joe, on low amount of cards, he used the Droll, the Griffin Rider, the Nibiru, so only 3 other cards he has here to play through the board that Juan has established, you know. Really just showing the power of deities. Like, they have so much they can do, and being able to get to that Caesar before you're able to get Nibiru is just huge, because you're able to actually still extend past it beyond that. As long as you're able to resolve the Gilgamesh, or the Gilgamesh, you're probably going to be good.
Yeah, he does have that Wandering Griffin Rider as well, right? Already on the table.
Oh, now with the adventure token, he's going to have that negate. That's huge.
Gonna grab the Faithful Avenger, get the token as you mentioned.
And the Griffin Rider would have been a lot worse if he didn't actually have the Rite of Armus here already accessible to him.
Definitely.
This
Looks
is
like,
another
yep,
prank
Roxy's.
kid. Man, a solid
Another
hand
prank
here.
kid. Any prank kid is what it is, right?
Really?
Like, that's really why this deck is so good. You get 12 redundant pieces more because of the place, and then, you know, factor terraforming in there. A lot of ways to just normal summon a prank kid. But it looks like he's going to respond with Headhunt. Chain the fact that, ooh, Wandering Griffin Rider, but gets met with infinite impermanence.
Yep, the Wandering Griffin Rider, even though it does shuffle back into the deck to negate, it's part of the effect, not a cost to shuffle back, so it makes it vulnerable to any sort of effect negation or something that might remove it from the field from being able to resolve. Kind of the one downside of a very powerful engine, but you know, Juan being able to capitalize on that fact, take that prank kid from him, negate the effect, and if Joe doesn't have really a way to extend, like that's the kind of downfall of prank kids, is that they really, you mentioned it earlier, is reliant on that normal summon.
Yeah, definitely. But yet it's reliant, but at the same time, you know, high redundancy. They don't have cards that they can't push through it with, but yeah, right here, right, we see it definitely capitalize on.
Yeah, then Draco Back's going to help clear things up here. He's able to add off the Faithful Adventure. They added the Enchantress. He's going to put back the Machina X to the extra deck. Draco Back the Rattled Dragon, just a powerful, powerful equip card. As long as you're able to get it online when you're going second, helps you pick apart boards easily.
I still have the next turn.
Oh, it looks like did he bounce back the Headhunt? No, he put back the DSC. Okay.
No, yeah, the Headhunt was used to grab the
That's right.
Roxy's.
Now a Link summon is coming down. Try to plant Verte Anaconda. Going to pay 2,000, be able to use the fusion spell from his deck, and that Fusion Destiny is the one he's going with. Going to send down Destiny Hero Celestial, Destiny Hero Dasher. Sometimes, you know, it's not always Dasher. We've seen Destiny Hero Plasma kind of come into play a little bit. Plasma just got that new alternate art in Maximum Gold El Dorado that looks fantastic.
Definitely a very cool. The Destiny Hero Plasma is a classic one, I think, for a lot of players that started, especially in the era that I started playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, I can't help but look at Plasma a little different.
But yeah, I remember when it came out. My first like Dark Arm Dragon deck, I tried to focus around Plasma. I had scapegoats in my deck, just ways to get Plasma onto the field, following up with Dark Arm. You know, being able to negate your opponent's monster effect. It's actually, you know, pretty.
One-sided skill
pretty
drain was
useful.
pretty strong.
Oh, yeah, it really
like,
was.
And especially today. Well, we see it today just in decks where Dasher isn't very strong, right? Like Drytron is a big one where we don't really see Dasher as much.
Very true, very true. But Joe, kind of in the driver's seat here with Destroyer on the field, going to be able. He's going to want to go after these the contracts and the King Swamp contract, because as long as they're on the field, he will have to take some damage during the standby phase. But they also will be able to be used every turn, so you don't really want to have your DDD opponent have those face up at the start of their turn for sure.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think the contracts, and then at some point he also has to worry about this token just a little bit, right? But he can also spin it with something else, right? It doesn't necessarily need to be answered immediately by the Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer. So we'll see what he chooses to first, right? Priority targets probably being those contracts, as you mentioned. It looks like he's going to Draco back first. Was that the effect of Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer or the effect of...
I think it was a Destroyer destroying the Draco back to pop, to destroy...
The token, and then just attacking with over the Roxy's with Phoenix Enforcer. That makes sense. He used the Draco back already, right?
Yeah, on the
Deuce Maki next. Yep.
And now Joe trying to get some damage in there. Juan, down at to 6,000 because of the contracts, and that is enough damage on the board. Joe's going to be able to attack for game. A timely Nibiru, not really even using any prank kids in the second game. He was able to use one just to force out the trap card that Juan had set, but not having to go and link summon, showing you how powerful that adventure package and plus Fusion Destiny. Really heads up play to get that Griffin Rider onto the field first, so it'd already be established. It also makes me think maybe he drew that Rite of Armor here for turn, not knowing that if he would be able to summon the Griffin Rider at all. But at least if he summoned the Griffin Rider Nibiru, he'd have 2 monsters he can deal with. But neither here nor there, he is the winner. And now 3 rounds in, we've featured 3 remote duel YCS champions, all 3 of them winning their feature matches. And I think you hit on it best. They've been playing this whole time while we haven't had these in-person events. And now we're finally back here in person, and they're just doing just as well as before, well practiced and ready to make it to that day 2. But we will have more soon. We'll be back with a winner interview for round 3, so don't go anywhere. All right, welcome back, everyone. I'm here with our winner from round 3, Joe, remote duel YCS champion, and now he is here 3-0 in the first in-person event we've had in 2 years. How did it feel playing in a feature match here at the in-person event?
It was great. Not too much anxiety, at least for me, just because played in the finals, top 4 and all that. So I kind of got that out of the way. But game 1, I just played really poorly. He didn't nib me, so I just kind of assumed he didn't have Nibiru, and then he still had it. So I got really punished by it. But game 2, I played a lot better, kind of collected myself. So glad we came away with it.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting to see. The Nibiru looked like it might have caught you off guard a little bit after not seeing it in the first turn. But is there any decks you're looking forward to facing this weekend that maybe you're more prepared for, that you want to be facing this, in the tournament today?
Just the mirror match. I've been playing the prank kid deck a lot last weekend, the weekend before. So I'm pretty prepared for the mirror. So probably that, yeah.
Yeah, well, I think that's a good option. A lot of people are playing the prank kids here this weekend with the adventure package. Now you mentioned in the finals, the semifinals. You've been here before. Do you think you have what it takes to win here this weekend at the first in-person event back in a couple of years?
I hope so, man. I really hope so. I'm gonna do my best.
Well, congratulations. I hope you do well. 3-0 is a great start. Good job. We will be back after a short break for the Swiss round 4 here at YCS Charlotte. Don't go anywhere.